Your graphics card costs $800, your processor costs $400, you spent $200 on a motherboard with 12 layers, and then you plugged all of it into a $40 power supply unit. The power supply unit is the only component that every single other component depends on. Every watt your processor pulls comes from it. Every watt your graphics card demands at peak load comes from it. Every bit of data your storage drive reads or writes, powered by it. And most people buying a power supply unit are doing it wrong. Not because they're careless, because the spec sheet on the box is written to sell you a number, not to help you build a stable system. Wattage, efficiency ratings, rail configurations, modular versus non-modular, protection circuits, ripple, capacitor quality. We are going to break down every single one of those specs today, in plain English, so that the next time you buy a power supply unit, you are buying it with the actual logic, not the marketing number. Here is why power supply units are the most misunderstood component in a build. Every other component has an obvious performance ceiling. More cores, faster clock, more memory. You can feel those improvements immediately. A power supply unit, when it's working correctly, is invisible. It just works. You never think about it. So the industry sells you on the number that is easiest to understand and easiest to inflate. Wattage. A 750 watt unit sounds better than a 650 watt unit. A 1000 watt unit sounds even better. More watts equals more power equals better, right? Not even close. What actually matters is how efficiently it delivers that power, and how cleanly. A 650 watt unit from a Tier 1 manufacturer will outperform a 1000 watt unit from a budget brand in almost every real-world scenario. Here is why. Wattage is the unit's maximum continuous power output. Not peak, not burst, continuous. Your system's actual power draw at full load is called the thermal design power. For a high-end gaming build in 2026, a top-tier processor, a top-tier graphics card, fast storage, and standard cooling, you are looking at somewhere between 450 and 650 watts at absolute maximum load, which means a quality 750 watt unit covers you with comfortable headroom. So why do people buy 1000 watt units for mid-range builds? Because the box says 1000, and 1000 sounds safe. But here's the part nobody tells you. Deep note: a power supply unit runs most efficiently at 40 to 60% of its rated load. A 1000 watt unit in a system drawing 300 watts is running at 30% load, and losing more energy as heat than a properly sized unit would. Oversizing your power supply unit does not make your system more stable. It makes it less efficient, runs hotter, and costs you more money up front. The formula is simple. Calculate your system's thermal design power. Add 20% headroom, buy the unit that covers that number from a quality manufacturer. That is the correct wattage. Nothing more. The 80+ certification is the efficiency standard for power supply units. Every tier tells you how much of the power drawn from your wall actually reaches your components versus how much is lost as heat. 80+ white. At least 80% efficiency at 20, 50, and 100% load. 80+ bronze, 82 to 85% efficient. 80+ gold, 87 to 90% efficient. 80+ titanium, 92 to 96% efficient. The top tier. What does that mean in practice? A bronze unit drawing 500 watts from the wall delivers roughly 420 watts to your components. A gold unit drawing that same 500 watts delivers roughly 450 watts. The difference, 30 watts, becomes heat inside your case. Over a year of use, that is a measurable difference on your electricity bill. The sweet spot. Gold is the efficiency tier where you get the most value per dollar. Platinum and titanium cost significantly more for diminishing returns, unless you are running a workstation at continuous heavy load. Bronze is acceptable in budget builds. Gold is the target for gaming systems. Platinum and titanium are for workstations and servers where uptime and efficiency are measured in operational costs. A power supply unit does not output 1 voltage, it outputs 3. The 12-volt rail powers your processor, your graphics card, and your storage drives. It carries about 80% of your system's total power load. The 5-volt rail powers your universal serial bus ports, your audio circuitry, and your lower-powered storage devices. The 3.3-volt rail powers your system memory and certain motherboard logic circuits. The spec you need to pay attention to is the amperage rating on the 12-volt rail, because that is where your build lives. A unit might be rated at 750 watts total, but if its 12-volt rail is only rated for 40 amps, that is 480 watts of actual usable power for your most demanding components. The lie. Total wattage includes all rails combined, but your graphics card and processor only draw from the 12-volt rail. Always check the 12-volt amperage, not just the headline wattage number. Single rail versus multi-rail design is another common point of confusion. A single rail unit routes all 12-volt power through one path. More straightforward, easier to manage, common in consumer builds. A multi-rail unit splits the 12-volt capacity across multiple independent rails with individual overcurrent protection on each. Multi-rail designs offer better short-circuit protection in theory, but in practice, for a standard gaming build, a quality single-rail unit is the simpler and equally safe choice. Modular, semi-modular, and non-modular refers to how the cables attach to the power supply unit. Non-modular. Every cable is permanently attached. You use what you need and bundle the rest inside your case. Less expensive, fine for entry-level builds. Semi-modular. The main 24-pin motherboard cable and the processor cable are permanently attached because you always need them. All other cables are removable. Full modular, every single cable detaches. You only install exactly what your build needs. Full modular units cost more, but the payoff is airflow, unused cables bundled inside your case block air movement. That directly raises component temperatures. In a case with good cable management routing, a full modular unit can meaningfully improve sustained thermal performance, not by a few percent, but by several degrees Celsius under extended load. Recommendation: if your case has cable routing channels behind the motherboard tray, get a full modular unit. If you are building in a budget tower with no routing options, save the money and go semi-modular. This is the section of the spec sheet that nobody reads. This is also the section that determines whether a failed power supply unit takes out one component or your entire build. Quality power supply units include multiple independent protection circuits. Overcurrent protection shuts the unit down if current on any rail exceeds safe limits. Protects your components from a current spike. Overvoltage protection shuts down if voltage on any rail climbs above its rated threshold. A power supply unit delivering 14 volts on the 12-volt rail will destroy components. This prevents that. Undervoltage protection shuts down if voltage drops too low. Prevents brownout-induced data corruption and component instability. Over-temperature protection shuts the unit down before its internal components reach a destructive temperature. Short-circuit protection, the most important one. If a direct short occurs anywhere in your system, this trips instantly and disconnects power before current can flow uncontrolled. The rule: any power supply unit that does not explicitly list overvoltage protection, overcurrent protection, and short-circuit protection in its specifications is not a unit you should connect to an expensive build. Full stop. Budget units skip these circuits to hit a price point. The cost of replacing a graphics card or a motherboard is never worth the money saved on the power supply unit. The final spec is the one most invisible to buyers, and the one that determines long-term system stability more than almost anything else. Voltage ripple is the small oscillation in output voltage that all power supply units produce. Perfectly clean direct current does not exist in a switching power supply unit. What you get is a voltage that fluctuates slightly above and below its target value. The spec to look for is ripple measured in millivolts, thousandths of a volt. The 80+ standard allows up to 120 millivolts of ripple on the 12-volt rail. A quality unit from a Tier 1 manufacturer will typically measure under 30 millivolts. Why does this matter? High ripple causes micro instability in your system memory, your processor, and your graphics card. It rarely causes immediate failure. What it causes is intermittent crashes, unexplained reboots, and degraded component lifespan over years of use. Capacitor quality is what drives ripple performance. Japanese capacitors, made by manufacturers like Nippon Chemicon or Rubicon, are the benchmark for longevity and ripple suppression. Budget units use generic capacitors rated for lower temperatures and shorter operating hours. They degrade faster. Their ripple worsens as they age. Deep lore takeaway. The spec sheet will never tell you the capacitor brand. The way you verify it is by reading teardown reviews from hardware testing channels. They open the unit and photograph the internals. If you can't find a teardown for a unit you're considering, that is your answer. Here is the thing about power supply units that the industry does not want you to internalize. Every other component in your build has a tier list. There is a best graphics card, there is a best processor. There are clear benchmarks, clear winners, and clear losers. The power supply unit market does not work that way. A unit rated at 650 watts from a manufacturer like Seasonic, be quiet. Corsair or Superflower will outperform a unit rated at 1,000 watts from an unknown brand in every metric that matters. Ripple, longevity, thermal performance, and the one that matters most. Not destroying the rest of your build when something goes wrong. The power supply unit is not a component you optimize around. It is the component that makes optimization possible. Get the wattage right, buy gold efficiency or above, confirm the protection circuits, and buy from a manufacturer whose units you can find teardowns for, because the ones worth buying are the ones with nothing to hide inside the chassis. You now know more about power supply unit specifications than the person who designed most retail shelf end caps. The build series continues next week. We are covering storage and the specifications gap between solid-state drive marketing and what your system actually reads and writes are more dishonest than anything we have covered in this series. Sequential read speeds on the box, random 4 kilobyte read speeds in the real world. They are not the same number, not even close. Subscribe so you do not miss it. Sudo BitLogic. We are just getting started.